Hola amigos y bienvenidos de nuevo. En esta lectura vamos a hablar sobre los artículos indefinidos. So first we need to decide, ¿qué son los artículos indefinidos? Pues they are actually very similar to our definite articles, but it's important to note that they are not the same. So our definite articles, which of course are el and la for singular nouns, and los and las for plural nouns, translate to the in English. However, our indefinite articles translate to a or an if they're singular. So here's an example. Rather than saying el cuaderno or the notebook, you can say un cuaderno, which is a notebook. So something that I think is really important here is to kind of like draw this out. So our definite articles, and I'm going to abbreviate that there, translate to the. It's specific, right? It's not just any old book, it is the book. You know what I'm talking about, right? However, if we go with our indefinite articles, I'm going to abbreviate that there as well, it translates to a or an, meaning that it could be virtually anything, just in general. It's the difference between me asking you, well, do you have the book at home? That implies that you know what I'm talking about. It's specific, the book. As opposed to me saying, do you have a book at home? And that book has indefinite possibilities of anything at all. Okay, so just like with our definite articles, the indefinite articles must agree in that gender. So are we looking at masculine nouns again, or are they feminine? And also in number, the singular or plural forms too. All right, so here's a small little chart. And if you can't read it, let's draw it out here. So we have our masculino column here. And if we have a singular masculine noun, it's un. If we have a plural masculine noun, that un becomes unos. For our feminine forms, if it is a feminine noun and singular, it becomes una. But again, if we're talking about plural things here, unas. So here I'd like to do a couple of examples with you guys. Let's say that we were taking the noun el pupitre, right? I'm talking about the student desk. If I want to change that to be just a desk in general, I'm going to use my indefinite singular masculine article, un, and then I write down my noun just as it is. Oops. Here we go, pupitre, right? And then again, if I wanted to make it plural, if I wanted to talk about just some desks in general, I would have unos pupitres. Same thing if we were to do a feminine noun. If I wanted to do la carpeta, right? The folder. You know which one I'm talking about. You definitely know. Two, just a folder in general. Hey, you need to buy a folder. Tienes que comprar una carpeta, or the plural version, unas carpetas. Okay, so now let's talk a little more specifically about those plural indefinites. So obviously, we just did a little bit of practice. Unos and unas are used before the plural nouns, and this translates to the word some. Okay? So los libros, the books, becomes unos libros, some books. All right, and here we have our time for some little more practice. If you would, go ahead and write down each of these words onto your own sheet of paper, and then pause the video, write in which indefinite article is going to go in front of these nouns. And when you're ready, hit play, and I'm gonna go over them too. All right, so here we go. My first noun up here is estudiantes. I know this means students, Now, we haven't had a long time to talk about this yet, but it's important to note, hey, estudiantes, this is a person. So are we talking about male students or are we talking about female students? It changes the meaning, right? But here is the deal in Spanish, my friends. If you do not know the gender of a group, you will always assume the masculine form. In fact, if you had 99 girls or girl students and 1 guy student, you would still refer to the entire group as los estudiantes. It's a little sexist. Even though there's 99 females, we can't say las estudiantes because the guy takes priority in that. So if you put unas estudiantes, it's not wrong, but I do want us to get in that habit of if it's an unspecified gender or group, we always default to that masculine. So here we should see unos estudiantes, some students. All right, my next noun, sustantivo, es página, or page, and that is feminine. So we should see una página. The next one is lápiz, or pencil, and it's just one, it's singular, so we should have un lápiz. Now my next noun, I see maestras, teachers, but it specifies that I'm only talking about female teachers here because I see my AS ending. So I know this is going to be feminine. Unas maestras, or some teachers. My next word, diccionarios, dictionaries, a masculine plural noun, so I'm going to use my indefinite unos, some dictionaries. My next word, problemas. Remember, it looks like that feminine noun because of that AS ending, but at this point, we should try and remember that it is masculine. So if you've got some problems, then go unos problemas. All right, my next one down here is pupitre, which we did this one earlier. It is a masculine noun and singular, so you have un pupitre. Some days is what we're looking at next here, and días, just like problemas, looks feminine, but it is in fact masculine. So unos días. All right, y finalmente we have clase, which is a feminine noun and singular. So we have una clase. All right, ya es todo, mis amigos. Espero que tengan un buen día. If you guys have any other questions, just let me know. Adiós.